It only took one social media post from many Ravens fans to believe Derrick Henry was thinking about retirement. The news spread quickly, created concern, and opened the door for all kinds of speculation. But there was one important detail almost everyone missed. The context behind his comments was completely misunderstood. Henry watched the rumor grow, decided to put an end to conversation, and gave a response that left no room for confusion. The most interesting part is that his response did much more than simply clear up the rumor. It revealed how Derrick Henry sees his future in Baltimore and why wearing the Ravens uniform means much more to him than many people expected. After hearing his own words, it becomes clear why this statement could carry a much bigger meaning than it first appeared. Social media exploded after a post made it seem like Derrick Henry was already thinking about retirement. I'll admit, my first reaction was surprise too. We're talking about a player who remains one of the most important pieces of the Ravens' offense, so the idea that he was preparing to walk away didn't make much sense. Still, within minutes, the conversation started spreading among fans everywhere. It all started because of an interview where Henry talked about his future. He said he would like to finish his career in Baltimore, but the way that comment was presented completely changed the context. Instead of focusing on how much he enjoys being with the franchise, the post made it sound like retirement was around the corner. And with a player as important as Henry, those kinds of rumors can take off quickly. Henry saw the confusion and decided to clear everything up himself. He responded directly to the post and said, "I would like to finish my playing career with the Ravens. I never said anything about retiring, LOL. I'm enjoying being a Raven. I'll worry about that retirement, expletive, later." The most interesting part to me is how calm that response was. He wasn't angry. He wasn't looking for attention, and he wasn't feeding into the rumors. He simply made it clear that his focus is still football and continuing to help the Ravens win. That statement sends an important message to the entire Ravens fan base. Henry isn't looking toward the end of his career right now. He still sees opportunities to win more games, compete for another championship, and enjoy every season in Baltimore. And the more I look at his reaction, the more it shows there is a special reason why he wants to stay with the Ravens for years to come. Derrick Henry's response made one thing very clear. His desire isn't only about continuing to play football. The biggest detail was hearing him say he would like to finish his career with the Ravens. That is not something you hear from every player, especially someone who joined the team only 2 seasons ago. For a player who spent almost his entire career with the Tennessee Titans, this shows Baltimore gave him something much bigger than a new contract. I see a lot of this connection coming from the environment he found in Baltimore. Henry arrived with huge expectations, but he quickly became one of the biggest leaders on the roster. On the field, he started sharing the spotlight with Lamar Jackson in an offense that forces defenses to make impossible choices. If they focus on Lamar, Henry gets more room to run. If they load up against Henry, Lamar has more opportunities. That partnership turned the Ravens' offense into one of the toughest challenges in the NFL. There is also an emotional side to this decision. Not every veteran player finds a place where he feels valued while still having a real chance to compete for championships. Henry appears to have found exactly that in Baltimore. Instead of talking about the final years of his career, he talks about enjoying every season, every game, and every opportunity to wear this uniform. That mindset helps explain why he feels so comfortable as a Raven. To me, this is one of the biggest wins the Ravens have gotten since bringing him in. We're not only talking about a running back still producing at an elite level. We're talking about a player who chose to embrace the identity of the franchise and make that connection public. And that bond becomes even more impressive when you look at the level he continues to play it on the field. There's a simple reason Derrick Henry isn't thinking about retirement. His performance is still at the level of one of the best running backs in the NFL. Many players start to decline after turning 30, especially at a position as physically demanding as running back. Henry, however, continues producing like a player who is still in the prime of his career. Since arriving in Baltimore, he has recorded more than 3,500 rushing yards and 32 touchdowns in only 34 games. Those numbers are impressive by themselves, but they become even more remarkable when you remember he has already surpassed 13,000 career rushing yards and 122 touchdowns. Very few running backs maintain this level of production for this long. Henry continues adding to a career that has already secured his place among the greatest players at his position. The most impressive part is there are no obvious signs of him slowing down. The explosiveness is still there on big runs. The physical strength is still allowing him to break tackles in ways few players can. He also remains a difference maker in the biggest moments, especially on short yardage plays and near the goal line. That is a major reason why so many people still consider Henry one of the top 5 running backs in football. That's why retirement talk feels so premature. Looking at these numbers, I see a player who still forces defenses to completely change their game plan before facing him. As long as that impact continues showing up on Sundays, it's easy to understand why Derrick Henry is focused on the next season instead of thinking about the final game of his career. Another part of this situation comes down to the moment Baltimore is living in. The Ravens enter this season with high expectations. The roster remains strong on both sides of the ball. Lamar Jackson is still leading the offense, and there's a lot of confidence that this team can compete near the top of the AFC again. For a veteran like Henry, there are not many situations more exciting than this, beyond the talent around him. There's also the opportunity to accomplish what every great player wants. Henry has built an incredible career, collected records, individual awards, and unforgettable seasons. Even with all of those achievements, the biggest goal at this stage of his career remains winning a Super Bowl. Staying in Baltimore means remaining with a team that has a legitimate chance to chase that goal. Something else I notice is the way Henry talks about the present instead of the past. At no point does he sound like someone who is simply trying to enjoy his final years before retirement. It's the opposite. His comments show a player who still believes he has plenty left in the tank to make big plays, decide important games, and help the Ravens compete for an NFL championship. That mentality can spread throughout an entire locker room. Seeing a veteran of Henry's level still hungry for victories sends a powerful message to younger players. And maybe that combination of experience, production, and motivation is the biggest reason Derrick Henry still sees a bright future wearing purple and black.
If you're enjoying this breakdown, smash that like button to help the purple flock grow.
At first, many people believed this conversation was about the end of Derrick Henry's career. But after hearing the words directly from him, it became clear the message was completely different. His focus is not on saying goodbye to football. His focus is on continuing to build something special in Baltimore while he is still playing at a high level. The phrase, "I'm enjoying being a Raven," might be the most important part of his entire statement. It sounds simple, but those few words reveal a lot about where Henry is mentally right now. He wasn't only talking about contracts or what comes next. He was talking about happiness, belonging, and wanting to remain part of this organization. I think that brings a huge sense of relief to Ravens fans. In a league where so many headlines are about trades, contract situations, and retirement decisions, hearing one of the biggest names on the roster say he wants to stay in Baltimore creates a feeling of stability. It strengthens not only what the team has today, but also the belief in the direction this franchise is heading. Now, the question is how far this partnership can go. If Derrick Henry continues playing at the same level he has shown over the last few seasons, the Ravens will once again have one of the most dangerous weapons in the entire NFL. And based on what Henry himself made clear, retirement is something that can wait for a long time. Derrick Henry delivered a message that means much more than simply denying a rumor. Instead of allowing speculation to grow, he showed that he remains fully committed to the Ravens and still has major goals ahead. For a team with Super Bowl expectations, having a leader with this mindset is a huge advantage. And after seeing everything he continues to do on the field, it's hard to believe the end of his career is anywhere close. I also believe this statement strengthens the confidence in everything Baltimore is building. Henry could have ignored the situation and moved on, but he chose to clear things up and show how much he enjoys being part of this franchise. That type of connection between a player and a team is not something you see every day in the NFL. If he keeps performing at the same level, the Ravens will once again have one of the most dangerous weapons in the league. Now I want to hear from you. Do you believe Derrick Henry will finish his career wearing a Ravens uniform? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
And if you're a true Ravens fan and love keeping up with everything happening around the team, don't leave this video without sharing it with a friend who's just as passionate. They're definitely going to enjoy this. See those videos on your screen right now? I picked the first one especially for you, and the other is recommended by YouTube. Go check them out and I'll see you in the next video.